The second part of requirement 3 is business trust and ethics. So to get you in the mood, I'm just going to show you a couple of slides, and I want you to tell me what's the ethical issue that's been going on. So in terms of the case study, this at the front of the exam paper, it tells you that business trust and ethics in case study terms means the following: lack of independence, conflicts of interest, doubtful accounting and commercial practice, pressure to achieve results. Yeah, all very interesting. But rarely comes up in the exam. The one that comes up in the exam is damage to reputation. Because the previous 4 are all very direct, aimed at the company. And this can be a bit more tangential. And candidates are really good at answering questions when it's very clear what it is you've got to answer. Not so good when you need to work out what the problem is for, in this case, for Sequin. So here is our first one. What was the business trust or ethical issue here? Sorry, who said? Yes? Talk to me about data breach.
So for Sequin at the moment.
No, tell me for TSB.
I don't know the exact details.
No, just generality. It's clearly struck a chord.
I just remember reading in the news that lots of customers data breached, something like that. You know, people at the top level were getting reprimanded for it. And once it gets out into the press, it's a really big deal.
That is a very true statement. It is a big deal. Anybody put a bit more flesh to the bones, Kieran? Sorry, I've lost my microphone. Just got to go and get it. Yep. Lloyd's TSB.
Yeah, companies and individuals couldn't access their bank accounts.
Okay.
A couple of days, I think it was.
And
Transactions wouldn't go through, people didn't get paid.
and mayhem. And as you say, Michelle, once it gets out there and it's in the public domain, then it's a nightmare. So, April, it was in April, they were transferring all of the old Lloyd's customers onto a new platform, the IT platform, and it went spectacularly wrong. So you had millions of customers, couldn't get access to their accounts, lost funds, disappeared, funds appeared in their accounts, and they could access other customers' accounts as well. So that's all very good, isn't it? Suffice it to say, the Information Commissioner and the Financial Conduct Authority both then started full-on investigations into what was going on. And, but that wasn't helped because a week later, a load of their mobile banking went down, and they got locked out of that. Then, to add insult to injury, they sent their apology letters to all the wrong people. And finally, 2 weeks ago, 300,000 customers received a letter to tell them that they were dead. And that because they were dead, their direct debits had been cancelled. TSB, in the financial press, now stands for Truly Shambolic Bank. Wow, what a bit of PR that is. So that is a spectacular damage to reputation. Next one. So we talked about Carillion, and what did we describe it as? Sorry? Too big to fail. It was like a giant Ponzi scheme. Ponzi schemes where you've got to keep going to stand still. Okay, the money you make on the new contracts that you win are used to effectively pay for the contracts you're trying to service. January went straight into liquidation. Didn't even bother to pass go and collect 200. Just went straight into liquidation. It was concealing how badly it was doing on its existing contracts by winning new contracts. It was the largest public sector service provider in construction, facilities management, and maintenance. And its impact was so great that it affected the share prices by up to 5% falls of other public sector service contractors, such as Interserve, Mighty, whatever. So now other companies were being damaged by somebody they didn't have anything involved with, but just by connection. So damage to reputation by association, which brings us on to the second aspect of business trust and ethics. So this, if damage to reputation, candidates find a little bit tricky. When it's by association, often it's just missed completely. So this is where something happens and it's not directly Sequin. But it might be a competitor, it might be a supplier, it might be a customer, it might be a possible JV partner. Something's happening that if Sequin becomes connected with them, they might get damaged as well. So a couple more pictures. Anybody?
It's the Australian cricket team.
Yeah.
They were, during the match, I think they were filing the ball
Yeah.
so that it was, I don't know the exact mechanics of it, but...
Talk to me about swing bowling. Yeah.
I'm not an expert at swing bowling, but yeah, such that that would affect the flight path of the ball.
Yeah.
So essentially it was cheating.
It was cheating.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what is the damage to reputation? So that's the story. All very interesting. What's the damage to reputation by association? Who was associated with this and was worried and therefore were cutting their links? Sorry? Sponsors. Yeah. So Magellan Financial Group, ASICS, the sportswear people, Commonwealth Bank of Australia, within a week of this going public, were cutting their ties with Cricket Australia. So they don't want to be associated with a brand that is damaged, a damaged brand. Okay, and this one.
I know what it was. It's the girls that were serving at the, is that the one that the charity fundraising, yes.
A charity fundraising.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, so this was a charity fundraising where there was completely inappropriate behaviour by the, sorry to say it, male participants towards the female hostesses. That in itself, bad enough, but the fallout was just mega because it was picked up particularly in the current climate of #MeToo and various other things, and the Harvey Weinstein and everything else that is going on about inappropriate social behaviour or inappropriate behaviour in social situations. Major table sponsors, WPP, CMC Markets, Frogmore, bosses who were there from Ocado and other major players. And then in politics, Nadeem Zahawi and Jonathan Mendelsohn, all publicly admonished. And take them up. Nadeem Zahawi nearly lost his job as a cabinet undersecretary. Okay, for being there, because it's just not appropriate to be at these places. So here were people absolutely being ripped apart in terms of their social reputation for going to something that was considered utterly inappropriate. Very interestingly, this is a charitable dinner. All the proceeds go to good causes, and the good causes themselves, including Great Ormond Street Hospital, said, we don't want your money. And then said, we're going to pay back the money. Then they looked at how much they'd been given. Yeah, backpedaled on that. So where is the ethics in all of this? Interesting question. But this is what I mean by damage to reputation by association. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand out some ethical scenarios relating, or possible ethical scenarios relating to Sequin for you to have a look at. And effectively, what you're going to get at the back of the exam is an exhibit. Yep, one more. Sorry. Got everybody got one? Back again. Can't count. Sorry. At the back of the exam paper, last exhibit probably, is an article. A couple of articles. There may also be, in the middle of the exam paper relating to requirement 2, another article, or it might be something in the briefing email that you get. What you need to do is, first of all, prepare a short 3-sentence paragraph, which is a summary of the facts. You mustn't assume that all of the members of the board know what's going on. Okay? When the proverbial hits the fan in these situations, the first thing is denial. I didn't know anything about it. Actually, that doesn't wash in terms of the fiduciary duties of a director, but nevertheless, it doesn't stop people trying. You watch people going up in front of the parliamentary select committees. They never know anything in terms of these things. What are they doing as a director? What are they being paid for? But that's a different point. So, we need a short paragraph summarizing the parties involved, the problem, and then what is the issue for Sequin. So I call that PPI. It's my PPI. Okay, little one sentence for each. Crucially, what are the issues for Sequin? That's moving from a statement of analysis to a bit of evaluation. Then you need a conclusion. And your conclusion is your risk assessment, high, medium, or low. I'd really like to get rid of medium, but sometimes it just is medium. Okay, it's not high or low. So high, medium, or low, and critically, why? So you must have a reason. And the risk assessment itself is not that important. What's much more important is you have justified what you've said. Then you need 2 recommendations. Firstly, immediately, what is the board got to do? Imagine there's a board meeting tomorrow morning. What have they got to do to stop the problem escalating? And if it's low risk, they may not need to do very much, except just monitor the situation. Definitely, if it's medium or high, they will need to do something to stop it escalating. And then longer term, what are they going to do to stop it recurring? So immediately, stop escalation. Longer term, stop it recurring. Okay, so that's the job. And what I'd like you to do is to just very quickly, it's not a big anxiety, have I got the answer right or wrong? It's just read it, make a decision, and come up with a couple of recommendations. So the table groups here, the 3 table groups here, I'd like you to do the first 2. Okay? Table groups here, I'd like you to do the 3rd and 4th. Table groups here, 5th and 1st. 1st and 5th. Okay? Thank you. Ready? 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 Yep. Okay, let's go. So So start us off, please. Niv. Take us through, so just very quickly, this is Victorian House and Gardens, Upton Abbey in Leicester, suffered a sharp decline in their TripAdvisor rankings for a series of scathing reviews, and Upton Abbey is listed as a client on Joule's website. So, conclusion, what is your risk assessment?
We said it was medium risk.
Okay, and why?
Because it is, there is potential for reputation damage by association, but Upton Abbey is a client of Joule, who's related to Sequin.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to indicate that Joule is falling back on Sequin's
Okay. Okay, so recommendations immediately.
Check in with Joule if the problems at Upton Abbey have been addressed and follow up why did it happen in the first place.
Okay, and longer term?
Maybe have more check-ins with Joule to make sure that nothing's slipped past or
Okay.
to make sure that they're on
What
track.
could you introduce? It doesn't mention it in the AI, but what could you introduce to ensure that there is a measurable standard of service from Joule?
Targets?
Service level agreements. Okay. Often mentioned, hasn't been in this, but something that would fit nicely into a recommendation. Okay, great stuff. And table group here. Hannah? So this is Lauren Montgomery, well-known creator of African culture documentaries, been booked to premiere her latest film at Sequin in Nottingham, and claims have appeared in the national press that the people featured in the films are actors, and the real villagers denied the promised fees. She's refused to comment. And now there's a social media terrorist campaign going on to slag us off. Okay, so conclusion.
We said this was a high risk
Why?
because of the reputational damage and the fact that there's an entire group of customers that might boycott in the future.
Okay, yep. Recommendations immediately. What are you going to do straight away?
Issue some sort of a statement or press release saying that as yet the claims are unsubstantiated, and offering some kind of a response. They're saying we will offer refunds to students who...
Okay, be careful, you're doing a couple of things in the same recommendation. Okay, and it's very easy to get into multiple recommendations, and suddenly you're making 3 or 4 instead of just the 2. So just one action is all that's required. So your action is going to be to make a statement about, what are you going to make a statement about?
The issue, our stance on the issue.
Your stance on the issue. What is our stance on the issue?
We've got nothing to do with it.
It's nothing to do with us, mate. Might want to reflect on that, a little bit more specific, have a think about it, but yeah, a longer term.
Perform more careful research on anyone that we partner with in the future.
Okay, so a couple of different things. The crucial thing is a different time horizon, okay? And for the immediate, really think about the board is meeting tomorrow, what are they going to do immediately? This is a real problem. Okay, moving on to number 3, table group here. And who shall we have do this? Cameron. So we got a late night screening of a much anticipated horror film, interrupted briefly when the police turned up the lights and arrested an audience member. Later confirmed to be carrying recording equipment. The film resumed after only a few moments, and the 17 other attendees were given a voucher for a return. 2 of them have still complained. There is no satisfying people sometimes. What was that? Hello. Okay, so conclusion, please. High risk, high, medium, or low?
Low,
Right. Why?
because Sequin performed their duty to report illegal behaviour
Yep.
on their premises.
So they've done the duty? Yep. Okay, so it's a low risk. That doesn't mean you then go, right, nothing more to do, because he will still be looking for some recommendations. So now this is always quite difficult when they're low risk. So immediately, anything to be done immediately?
In general, no, but potentially for these two people complaining, give them a few more tickets.
Just buy them off. Buying off is always good. I like being bought off.
You've got to try and keep the business. If it's going to be too expensive, let them go.
Yeah.
And then longer term,
Yeah.
perhaps review the way in which it's reported to police. If it's possible to not interrupt the movie, potentially wait for the movie to end and then the police
Or whatever.
come in, or do it in a more reasonable manner.
Yeah. I think always ironically, the low risk ones are the more difficult to do because you've got to come up with some ideas and it's all a bit nebulous. Excellent, thank you. And table group here. We'll go for Nick. Number 4.
Yes.
Customers phone, sorry, I'll just do a quick summary. Customers phone the manager at Sequin Hull stating his credit card has been cloned, used fraudulently to purchase tickets online. His banks refund all the charges, he just wants Sequin to be made aware of the issue.
So we put this down as low.
Low risk, why?
Because we don't think that it's happened at Sequin itself.
Yep. Okay.
It's not directly affected them or their fault. Recommendations immediately thank the customer
Yep.
for noticing this out. Then more longer term, probably review training of staff to see if we can get staff to pick up financial fraud a bit quicker.
Excellent. Okay, lovely. And finally, number 5, table group here. Who should we go for here? Ben? Latest superhero blockbuster film, rated 12A, party of kids. Some of them said happy birthday, wasn't his real birthday, and then there was mayhem, let loose. Okay, Megan's doing it. There's a quick transfer of responsibility here, and he's slagging them off on social media and going to the audience.
We were going to say low risk, but because of the Facebook, I kind of upped it a little bit to medium risk because
Right.
of reputational risk.
Yes.
And I haven't written a lot, but for a recommendation immediately, offer a refund to this customer and apologise. But then for longer,
What, just for one ticket or
I would refund probably all of them.
the whole lot?
Yeah.
Let's just deal with it.
But include for a longer term to make sure that when booking on the website, there's a disclaimer box that people have to check to make sure that you take somebody over 18 with
Great.
12s.
Thank you very much. That's fantastic. Okay, so that gives you a feel for the process that you need to adopt when dealing with the ethical issues. 1 in requirement 2, 2 of them in requirement 3. And there are 2 boxes, there's always 1 box in requirement 2, sometimes even a 2, but always 1. There are 2 boxes in requirement 3 for discussion of ethical issues. And I think they are gimmies. Okay? And yet people tend to not do very well. Okay? So really think about damage to reputation by association. What is the risk for Sequin?